So, it becomes a countering measure for each of these things that black women, if it's done correctly, will actually be the better teachers of the next generation, will be the better parents, will be a lot more open to compromise in a relationship, so that the father stays there. Just don't get mad and get rid of the father, or even with the father if he should leave and he's not a very good father, but he's okay, at least making sure that he at least has some contact with the children, unless it's just overly negative, in which case she does have to let that go. But even if she does, making sure that she understands why things went bad, so that her next relationship does not follow the same pattern. So the women were pretty vocal this morning in the discussions. They were agreed that they had made themselves quite a few mistakes, be it in relationships or the raising of the children. Most of the women in the discussion chose to raise the children alone, and while a couple of them did get involved in other relationships, they kind of kept those relationships separate from the children. So the children still did not have that male role model. And, of course, some of them made the same mistakes in the next relationship that they had made in their previous relationship. A couple of them had children or a child by different guys, and both guys or all three guys had not been very good to her and had left her once she got pregnant. And that's really hard. I mean, for the one who it happened to twice, that has to be a very heartbreaking thing. But for the one that it happens to, 3 times, that definitely affects her self-esteem to that third level. And so, of course, they were at the point where they felt like, they didn't want to even go that route again, not even try again. And so they have resolved themselves to spending the rest of their lives alone. And I tell them that is almost as bad as spending the rest of your life with the wrong person. You were not meant to spend this life alone. Yes, as fighters, as civil rights fighters, as reparations fighters, as the educators of the world, we tend to fight the battles alone, but we do have people in our lives that are very important to us and that support what it is that we do. We have mates that are there for us, whether they're funding what we do or they're just there as moral support for what we do. Just because you see us as out here fighting the battle for the end to the enslavement of black people once and for all, doesn't mean that we are just, anti-relationship. You may not get to see the people that we are with because we do have to protect those people, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. So that was one of the misconceptions that came up today, and that, the freedom fighters and, the reparations people, they are not the women that are in the struggle. They tend to be alone, and I had to correct them on that, because most of the women in the reparations fight are actually with, they have a husband, they have children. They have a family. Most of the people that are in even the Black Power fight, they have a mate, they have a boyfriend, and someone that is supporting them. The percentage of black females in the fight that are single past the age of 30 or so is actually quite small. And you have a lot of black males that are in the struggle, and most of them have wives or girlfriends. So that was just one of those things that they did not have correct. And so they talked about back in the day, many of the fighters that they saw were always alone, but I had to remind them that many of those fighters had wives. You just didn't get to see them. They had families. You had many, many Panther cubs that you never got to see until those cubs got older and decided to pick up that baton on their own, because as Panthers, those cubs had to be protected. And many, went off and kind of rebelled against the whole thing, because it seemed like it was just an endless struggle for them. And some of them got themselves into trouble and whatnot. But for the most part, Panther children raised in the battle, raised in the struggle, tend to understand better than other children the importance of what it is that their parents do. And so even for those parents that actually did separate or became apart or whatever, they still made sure that each of them were in the Panther Cub's lives, so that Panther Cub would have that balance that Panthers know is so important. So we talked about a lot of things today, and I think the women got a clear understanding of, already knew what the situations were, but got a better understanding of how to counter some of those things that women are dealing with. So I think we're on our way to having quite a few women that are ready to roll up their sleeves and actually restore honor to black women in the black community. So tomorrow, of course, the biggest thing that black women are concerned is their children. So tomorrow we are going to talk about restoring pride and restoring honor to black children in the black community and what it would really take. We're going to go through some of the things that black children are having to deal with today, and how we can do better at supporting them and keeping them away from the negativity that's out there. So for those of you that want to join into the discussions, you can always put in BHCA Berry in your search engine, and you'll get to see some of the stuff that we talk about. You get to get some information, and you can always contact us on the show. When numbers pop up, I don't necessarily answer the calls because we got a lot of information to put out, but I do make note of the callers. So until we get together tomorrow, you can feel free to contact us on Facebook or any of the social networks, and we'll hit you tomorrow on the segment 4, which will deal with the children and how we can restore honor to black children in the black community. Until then, thank you for joining us, and all power to the people.